All right, there we go. Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a good weekend. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Got a fresh week. Nice, beautiful Monday morning. All right, sound check's good. All right, let's go. Go to this pre-market insight. Today we got the JOLTS job openings at 10. Nothing for tomorrow. Wednesday, core CPI and crude oil inventories. Thursday, initial jobless claims and PPI, and then nothing Friday. So pretty much a light week in terms of economic events. Be watching. I keep today at 10 in mind to see if they do anything with that. Other than that, just a normal week. Taking a look at our futures power range report for NQ, we got a high of 1595.5 with a low of 1551.5. Was trading neutral, up 0.12% with a volume of 64K and an ATR at 170.14. So we can see over the weekend, or at the open of the session, didn't really have much of a change over the weekend. It's a slight gap, irrelevant gap. Then we had the sell-off at the open, breaking this previous pivot here, which also formed our power range low, and it sold off a little bit, and then we retraced all of that and back to PR plus 1. So, interesting price action to start the week. Of course, overall trend is bullish. Still being held up by our what I call the K band. It's our 20 period Keltner channel midline. So everything still looks bullish overall in terms of the major trend. Go ahead and take a look at ES. Pretty much just trading sideways overnight. Of course, this started off with some selling as well. RTY. And all of these, there's no real change over on the daily for the index futures. RTY also pretty much same price action, same structure. Same thing with YM. So everything's in sync this morning. Let's look at crude. On the daily, still trading within its range. Also got some sideways action going on overnight. Just traded down just below PR minus 1. Gold on the daily has some potential strong sell-off. Let's see what it looks like on the intraday. Most of that came at the open. Also had which created a wide power range for it. But from then has just been hanging out in this small, very tiny range between the PR high and PR 50. And nothing really exciting on the daily other than Friday was pretty much a major sell-off for euro currency, but also chopping around, bouncing between PR plus 1 and PR low intraday. So not a whole lot of movement across the board in terms of there's no real trend across the board. If we look at it from a pre-market perspective, NQ has the most like short-term trend, where it's kind of bullish from the PR low to PR plus 1. We had a nice little starting in the European session. Saw some momentum come in, some bullish momentum come in, and we've just been stair-stepping higher. Keeping in mind that this opening range was really wide, relative to the typical price action, the structure. So we started seeing those bulls come in and had a nice little retest off PR 50, very mechanical. Next little short-term resistance is turned into support off our balance level of 93 3/4, and just been stair-stepping our way back to PR plus 1. So we're looking very mechanical so far in the pre-market. We'll see how that turns out once the bell rings. I'm just gonna run the playlist this morning. But not over there. Got a little over 6 minutes to the bell. Make sure my charts are scrolled all the way to the end. Just wondering why my timer was showing 0. I realized I wasn't scrolled all the way to the ends, missing some data. See, we got some retracement back to that support. The way that, my strategy is set up, the way I read the market, I will be looking for longs, of course, off that balance level, and also using volume structure as well as price structure. Excuse my yawn. Let me run through my checklist one more time. Get this pre-market screenshot. Just making sure I got everything set up. I'm still testing out, or not testing out. Getting myself used to trading in multiple accounts. So I want to keep working on that muscle. Especially doing that during while I'm streaming. A lot of multitasking. It's not the easiest thing in the world to stream and trade at the same time. Let's see. Only goal is to trade the strategy to perfection. Always see the big picture. Make sure we're pulling the trigger on our signals as the strategy is defined or defines. I did all of that. Just running through my checklist. silenced. Alright, I'm good to go. Also ended up putting some, I made a little update to my journal to where I have reminders of the setup that I'm looking for. It's a good refresher for me to, before I start trading. I can see what my signals are supposed to look like, so that not, just to make just that, that have that visual. What is the word? Reminder. There we go. Felt like that Family Guy episode. It's like there's nothing to do. All right. Less than a minute. Got some bulls taking us back to PR plus one right before the bell. And I've also, speaking of the journal, somehow that sparked another idea. What I was just about to say is definitely make sure you want to tune in tomorrow for tomorrow's stream. Got a special little stream that we're going to be doing tomorrow, so you definitely want to tune in for that. Some exclusive stuff. But what I was thinking about, what I was going to say was, I've also kind of changed the way that I do my journal. Something a way that I see it to be more efficient. So we are open. So far a little low on the energy, but we'll see how things pick up. Eventually it will pick up. Starting to get a push, starting to break into new session highs. Getting some follow through. If I was being aggressive, I could have been looking to take the high there, but I didn't have enough reasons to break my first 3-minute rule, so just wait for this first 3 minutes to play out and stick to the strategy. Here's a brief little micro retest. Hasn't really retested yet. Well, kind of. Yeah, it did. That was a quick little retest, but it may not be done. Getting a spike of volume at 131.75. Also at 127-ish. Another little push higher. It's not looking like strong momentum to me, but we still got a minute for this time period. my trading window is open. 1 minute has a bullish setup to break higher, but I need to pull back for my entry. 1 minute candlestick, we got a inside pair. I actually would like it to go back to our balance level. Also watching PR +1. Got mostly structure there. That would be more than, what is, well, yeah, a little bit more than 50% of that opening candle. Didn't get a whole lot of buyers in that first 3 minutes either. Very modest move, even though relatively the size of that candle was sort of big. Not much volume as of yet either. Our point of control looks to be at 110. So that is a look below and failed officially. Let's see what we do once we get back to our balance level. Do have some buyers coming in here. Pushing below that balance level. Next area I'm looking at is VWAP. If we can, you know, if the sellers gives us enough of a push lower, and our sellers really jumped in there, seeing a huge jump, bearish jump in the or spike in the delta. Again, buying off of a structural level. Just quick buying. Of course, there could be new loans coming in, also some profit taking. Could also be some shorts covering or some loans. What the selling would be, there was some loans trapped up here off that opening break. So that's also, you know, helping the sell there, getting squeezed. So then we got those that shorted up there, could be taking profit, and then we got some new loans jumping in. Looks like we want to keep pushing lower. And our sellers are definitely not letting up. Technically, it happened so quick I didn't see it. That could have been a trigger for me. Just looking at the 1 minute, the way that last 1 minute candles formed. You know, I would like to see a little bit more consolidation there. It could be a V-shaped pattern, but I gotta take it. Almost like a reverse inside pair. So keep in mind, it's more about being consistent than being right or wrong. I hate how it does this show orders and positions. I don't want it on every single chart. Alright, so I can keep it on. It's off that move there, we should keep going lower. Should not trade back above the high of that previous 1 minute candle. Definitely give us an indication of some shorts being trapped. Peaked above the high of that previous minute candle. Let's see if we can hold it. Just holding price now. Got price consolidating within this range between a little bit above what we'll call it 85 and 69. And touching me into the position. Take my first, even though it's a little right above, right below the balance level. Make some adjustments based off the conditions that we're trading in and not off of hard arbitrary numbers. Oops. Screenshot. Missed the first target. I'm expecting some sellers to be here at the power range high. Just based off what, you know, participants like to do, but I gotta give it room to breathe. Make any adjustments yet. Got a response from our sellers, so now let's see what our buyers want to do. We do have a couple levels that we can expect to see some buying. Also reminding myself it's not about being right or wrong, it's about being consistent so we get the appropriate data for our strategy. You start worrying about being right or wrong, you start skewing your data and you don't have anything real to or anything tangible to know how well your strategy works or not. So we are seeing buying off of the VWAP. This gives us this bullish, this flag pattern. See if we can get a break above that. And if that does give me a structural reason to trigger my break even. Let's see, 86. So I am expecting to see a fight here. Like I mentioned before, within this range. The automatic trigger should trigger soon, but go ahead and give it a manual break-even trigger. So now I'm officially in a risk-free trade. Just let it play out and be hands-off at this point. Let's watch the price action. I completely forgot about the trade I took in the sim mode, managing the Leeloo account. My practice session trade. Actually, I should take some off. How many am I holding over here? I'm still holding 8. Should at least take 4 right here. Yep. Since we're loading into that well, I don't need a big push. I don't need a big move here. Trade it off of current market conditions. I think I made all the adjustments I need to make based off of what we should do, what's you know, what we could, you know, what's high, what has a high probability in terms of what we can expect, how we can expect this to play out from here. Similar price action with ES, more so bearish. Overall, still neutral. We're still neutral with ES as well. Let me reset these scales. There we go. The way that printed on the 1 minute, that last 1 minute candle, we should see a push higher. I was watching that to see if that created another pivot. So there's the break, looking for follow through, which will give me my second target if we get that follow through. Okay. That also will be a break above the structure, our pre-market structure. Wouldn't be the first break, but we can still respect that structure. Teasing my second target. I'm gonna start trailing my break even. Just a nice light trail. Got about a tick away from my second target. So let me do the same thing over here. I'm gonna stay consistent. So of course on 1 minute, the setups that I'm saying on the 1 minute time frame, for me it doesn't hold a lot of weight, meaning that's still like a very short term information that is, that I'm taking from that. I'm still, of course, I look at the bigger picture on the 30 minute. We do have a nice little flag pattern shaping here where we could be trying to make another break, at least back to the high of that open. Okay, actually had my thing like that, didn't look right, so I had it, my mouse was kind of covering it up because of course we're still in this 30-minute period. Then I had the way that I had the mouse sitting there, so now it makes more sense. It didn't make sense as I was saying it, but that flat pattern is still valid on the 30-minute time frame. This is why, for me personally, it helps to verbalize what I'm saying other than just looking at it and thinking about it. Got us held in this brief moment of consolidation. The way that printed, we would expect a break either above the high or the low. There's a break, an attempt to break above the high for the last 3 minutes, but not with a lot of follow through as of yet. Possible to be entering into another phase of inventory collection. So far what we've seen is in the pre-market, collected inventory, sold it off at the open, came back, collected some more inventory, got a little bit of inventory, came back, sold it back to the market. Now it seems like we may be running out of supply, or they could just be in another period of inventory collection. I'll be looking at 108 to give us a story about supply. So off this 3-minute candlestick pair here, you definitely would expect it to, off that break, to get some follow through, but we didn't get it. So this could be forming another pivot to give us another dip back within the range. But of course, in order for that to happen, we must first dip below that low and then hold it, get some follow through, and then just observe how far they take it back within the range. Nothing for me personally to read from the delta as of right now. It's kind of confirming what I'm with this battle zone that we're seeing. Neither side really has control of the market at this point. Now from a bigger perspective, of course, our buyers still have control of the market overall, but in this brief time period, neither side really has control until we break outside of this micro range. Alright, looking for another push higher back to the high of this little range. If that doesn't happen, of course, I'll be looking for the break lower. Still playing around with price. From the perspective of our market makers. So I'm not just looking at it from one perspective. I'm trying to make it from what I know, from my knowledge base, from the frequency that I hold. I'm attempting to look at it from the perspective of retail traders, and also the perspective of market makers, as well as wholesale, our big money, the participants that move a lot of size in the market. Right, so now I'm looking at the pivot that was created on the 1 minute. You can also kind of see it here on the 3 minute at 101.5 or 102. Got some buyers that stepped in right above that. Any shorts that tried to take this dip there, of course that means they would be feeling pressure at this point. Let's see if our buyers got enough to push this back higher. I still have no adjustments to make to my position, but at this point I'm in a win-win situation, so it doesn't matter. Just making sure that I stay disciplined to the strategy and stay consistent. Our delta is still negative within this time, for the last minute of this time period. There's the close of that 30-minute time period. Also remember, here we have the job openings event that's happened. So let's see if we get a spike in volatility. It would be nice for them to use that to wake the market up. A little bit of action. All right, there we go. That takes me out of it. Well, it should have. I don't know what happened there. So let me go ahead and flatten that. That should have been a break even to take me completely out of the position. But there was still one contract in there, so it's in sell mode. So it's good awareness on my part. We are seeing a response off of this structure. For me, of course, even though I have my level structure leads the way, of course price action always leads the way, but other than what the historical, what we can see from historical price action, it's going to be structure first and then all my levels and indicators after that. So we are seeing some response from our buyers here. Technically, that does kind of give me another signal, but I'm not going to jump right back into another position. Just let the account breathe for a minute. I'm actually good to be done for the day with that. I don't have to keep trading. It was a decent win for me. But that does give me a trigger, just verbalizing it at 103. That way I'm at least putting some sort of action to it. Wouldn't be a bad setup either. Also understanding that that range that we just traded out of will serve as a little bit of resistance if that trigger was to get triggered. If I was to take it. But for me personally, I like to just let things breathe and settle after I like to have a little space between my positions. I don't like to just be back to back. That's it's just personal preference. But that was so we did have that pullback trigger as well as an inside pair. Broke above that, so if I would have taken it, I would have got triggered. Of course, I would have played a tight stop loss there. falls below the balance level. More than likely a stop loss trigger. Now we're looking at VWAP. Trading into VWAP. Let's see what kind of response we get. And it doesn't have to touch VWAP for me to start looking for a response. And it's not an exact science. It's not, it's no percentage. For me personally, it's no percentage. There's no number of points or number of ticks or anything like that. It's just an eyeball observation. So we are seeing a response near the VWAP. This technically gives us another signal. Or gives me another signal. I'm talking about us. There's no us. It's me. It's my strategy. Gives me another signal. Make an attempt to push through VWAP. At this point, I'm just narrating a good time to put in the disclaimer. Do not make any trading decisions based off of what I'm saying. This is just for educational and entertainment purpose only. That will be a trigger off my visual signal. Two signals that would have been triggered. Now I'm looking for follow through. Nice response off the VWAP. Make sure I reiterate that. Do not make any trade decisions based off what I say. Use your strategy, follow your plan. Got a little bit of follow through. Looking at expecting to see some selling or some sort of response here as we trade back into the range that we sold out of. If I was a short in that situation, I would have traded that back to VWAP and been out, which of course would have helped with that buying that we saw. Would have been a part of that buying that we saw from the response at the VWAP. Next level I'm looking for a response is at what do you call it, 110. If I can, it looks like we have, yeah, our volume point of control is still there. If price can make it back to that level. If my voice wants to maintain its frequency. Right back down to the balance level, giving us another range. Well, trading back within that range. The range was created before that. And just, I'm looking at a 1 minute perspective here again. buyers are not really seeing a whole lot of follow through. You can also kind of see that in the delta. Still getting a response off or near the VWAP. Just off the way that this is printing on the 1 minute and the 3 minute. If I was a short, I wouldn't want price to go back to 106. Reminding ourselves that this is still a buyer's market, big picture. So our shorts should be looking, if they're looking to take short positions, it should be quick hits, nothing big. That's my personal perspective. My personal feelings about it. Alright, so we're trading back into the range that I wouldn't want it to trade in if I was short. Of course, as we can see, I'm not short. I'm not in a position at all. That would be a trigger for breakout traders. Still got some resistance to fight through. This range between 110 and 120. And they're really piling in here. Looks like we're really throwing size into the market. Again, we're looking at this from wholesale. Wholesale came in here, collected some inventory. Got some inventory at cheaper prices. Now we got our Black Friday sale and then sell it to the market at higher prices. We'll be looking for follow through to see how much supply they're holding. Two scenarios, how if I would have just jumped right back into another position, taking those two signals that I saw before. One could have ended up in a small loss, but the other one would have played out for at least a scalp. Hashtag hindsight capital. Getting towards the end of my trading window, I'm just going to watch a few more time frame prints here. That is a bullish signal on the 1 minute for a break from the retail trader perspective, or from retail perspective. See if our market makers actually let it happen and give us follow through. Just had an idea that I need to take note of. Something I may be able to use for later. Looks like that's turned into a slight look above and fell, but it ain't over yet. Just took us right back to that range that we were in before this retrace, giving us in terms of our swings on a 3-minute time frame, giving us a higher low, still looking for a higher high. Right back into the range. So if you had a range bound strategy, this is giving you really good price action here. Which is, usually the markets stay within a range. So this is one of the reasons why I don't necessarily, I started out with a breakout strategy, but I don't necessarily favor breakout strategies anymore. From time to time, I do take them. Just depends on the market conditions. Not saying there's anything wrong with a breakout strategy, just I don't prefer them. I still see a lot of traders that use breakout strategies and they work well for them. But there's a lot of variables in that. It's just not whether breakout strategies work or not, is how well does it work for you. Too many variables in that for me to go into detail about that, so I'll just leave it right there. And with all that being said, I'll go ahead and wrap the session up for the day. Appreciate everybody for coming through. If I don't choke and kill myself. Hope everybody have a good rest of your session, good rest of the day. And I'll see you tomorrow for the special exclusive. Definitely want to tap into tomorrow's session. You don't want to miss that one. So I'll see you then. Trade it easy.